We have
Mhm.
the end of Stranger Things over New Year's Eve, and I, as well as millions of other people, watched the finale and was prepared to see how the story was going to end. The problem is that the story hasn't really ended, especially for fans. So if you are on social at all, especially if you're on TikTok, you will know that this is a very hungry, knowledgeable fan base that loves conspiracy theories, that loves trying to figure out where it's going to go next. And the Duffer Brothers, the creators of the show, have been very clear with audiences that they need to pay attention. They have tons of 1980s homages, but they've also dropped a lot of Easter eggs. And so when the finale hit, there were I don't want to say that everyone was miserable and everyone hated it. I didn't like it, but there were definitely people who liked it. And so for me, the first hour, the second hour was very the big chill. And yes, both are very 80s, but there was a lot of loose ends. And so there is a contingency of the internet that is very, very diehard fans of Stranger Things that has composed a conspiracy theory again over what is actually happening. And they are theorizing that there is another finale of a that we got a fake finale and there's a new finale. There is a website even, it's called Vecna Lives. If you type in www.november6, 1987.com, it has a countdown for Wednesday night to basically like, this is actually going to be the real finale. And I think that this is indicative of a few things. I think it shows the power of fandom and what can happen when creators really kind of foster a co-creation / parasocial relationship with their fans. I think it also goes to show that there are really, really smart, like I've basically seen every kind of fan theory I could think of. I loved so many of them. I wish they came true. Like,
Mm.
and I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think we're getting a new finale, but like I'd be lying if I said I didn't want one. Like I would
Mhm.
absolutely love for them to fix the mess that they left. I think it's really interesting to see this play out because I think that it shows kind of the good and the bad of fandom. And so they assume that if you love us, like you're going to continue to love us, even if we drop the ball. And that's just not how humans work. And
Hello,
so,
Game of Thrones.
exactly.
Nobody
And
fucking talks about it anymore because of how they ended.
so I think that it's really helpful to, even if you're a marketer and you're like, oh, I never watched a single episode of this show. I'm going to be like, what did Stranger Things teach me about B2B marketing? It really is, like, it honestly is a case study in you get what you wanted. You have this cult following. You have these diehard fans that are like creating lore or finding Easter eggs that maybe you didn't intend, that are crafting. Like AO3 right now is popping with all of these fan fictions of people who are literally rewriting season 5 as the way that they wish it had happened, whether the Duffer Brothers and Netflix want it to happen or not. And so for brands who are like, I want millions of people to love us and I want millions of people to care and I want them to be obsessed with us, there's another side of that coin. And so I think it's really helpful to, whether you believe the conspiracy theories or not, what is true is that there is a deeply passionate audience that is not willing to let it go, is not willing to say goodbye, but also wants to have a deeper part of the lore itself. And in creating their own theories, they are cementing their legacy as a part of this show, because that's the kind of relationship that they want with the show. As marketers, we should absolutely be paying attention. I think the best marketers are observers of humanity. They
Mhm.
see how people are reacting to things and what they do, how they're more likely to behave like that in the future.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of also marketing lessons in this. So, one of the big ones for me is how the Duffer Brothers are out there talking about what's
I
essentially
don't know
a
what their
failure,
PR team
right?
is doing. I don't,
um,
but that makes me wonder if it's true because like any
yeah.
good PR person would have yanked them and be like, you don't get to answer any more questions. We're done
Yeah.
here. Like interview's over. Yeah.
Yeah. They're basically saying like, we've left a lot of stuff off screen, like a lot of like big plot lines, that a lot of
Massive plot lines.
yeah,
Yeah.
that people care about, and they're just saying, oh well, you get to decide that for yourself, which I think is like really dumb because
It is.
what
Yeah.
people kind of keep coming back to is like, it took you how fucking long to make this show. You've talked about it forever, saying that each time that you're making it, you're putting it all in. It costs $400 million to make, and then you don't close out plot lines, you don't close stories, you don't like let us know what happened to these like characters that we've known. How dare you?
Yeah.
Like, do you
Yeah.
not care about your your characters as much as we care about them.
Yep.
And I think that's where I've seen so much anger, where it's like people just feel so let down that it's like we've grown
Mhm.
to like love these, characters so much from like season one. Like I saw some people saying like, oh, this is the same storyline that Elle was supposed to have when we thought about her in season one. But it's
Yeah.
like, well, but what happened to all the character growth she's had since then? Like, how do you not then adjust what was supposed to happen to her based on
Yeah.
where she is now? And another one that I've been hearing is because, people are like, how could this fail so bad? And then,
Yep.
people are like, well, the wife left and she was the
Yep.
main writer, right?
Yep.
And I'm just like, oh, you're ceding like control of the narrative. And now
Yep.
people are like trying to explain away everything. And that's taking everything away from like what the Duffer brothers, did. Like
Yeah.
whether or not like the wife is the one that we can like, say created the idea and the plot lines and all that, the story and everything. Um, Now it's kind of just being removed from them.
Yep.
And we saw similar with Game of Thrones. Nobody talks about that show in the context of like the greats anymore,
Yep.
right? And like that's that happens because fans are upset. And we also see we've talked about that before with like Star Wars, right? Where it's like you can let it go too far, where you take them too much into account and
Yep.
then you get rid of the integrity of the story and like what you were thinking of doing because you listen to them too much. You're trying to like walk a line here, but I feel like people like artists, creatives, us as marketers have to like kind of hold fast to like the way
Mhm.
that we're thinking we're going to put things out there. Otherwise it could get all mixed up in like,
Yep.
um and like we lose the messaging and the positioning and everything.
Yep.
The other thing I wanted to highlight is that so many people came out to watch the show at movie theaters.
Yep.
And I really want to highlight that because Netflix just brought Warner Brothers and they've started talking about doing a 17-day theatrical window for the movies that come out. And we need to show these as like examples of like people do want a theatrical experience.
Yes.
They went to see a show, a Netflix show
Yeah.
at the movie theaters because they're so like involved in, the characters and everything. And I think there's something there, not just that the idea that like people want to go to the movie theaters. Yes, there's that, but there's more that like movie theaters and like the movie companies have to do to get them to actually go and want to
Yes.
go, right? We just saw the masterclass of like Marty Supreme and like,
Yep.
Timothy Chalamet, everything he had to do to get people to go to the movie theater.
Yep.
And what's happening? It's going to be like the first A24 film that's reaching 100 million domestically. That never
Mhm.
happens with an indie film. And like, he had to do this like months long like marketing campaign. Like he did the merch drops. He like showed up at like in Brazil on like podcasts. He did like all these things to get people to care because he
Mhm.
knew that it was like it wasn't like related to any IP, right? It's not like Superman. It's not like, what's coming out, Star Wars next year, Dune, like all these
Mhm.
films like already have an established fan base, right?
Mhm.
So he knew, well, I have a fan base. How do I get them to actually come out and like
Mhm.
watch a movie on Christmas Day, you know,
Yep.
when I'm competing against, Avatar, which
Mhm.
also is showing that people want to go to the movie theaters.
Yeah.
That crossed what, 1 billion
Mhm.
worldwide, so there's like a lot of things at play here where it's like these are all marketing lessons of like, what Christina was saying, that like people want that community and people
Mhm.
want to experience things with other people, right? Like people went to the
Yep.
movie theater because they wanted to be there with other fans that they know, you know, love the show as much as they do.
Well, I'm
Which
going
also
I'm like in like a week. I'm watching
oh,
Lord of the Rings. I'm what
oh, are
they're
you going? Oh,
re-releasing the trilogy, and I'm
yes,
like,
yes,
I will be there
yes.
with bells on. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And people want those experiences, right?
Yeah.
Like these are the things I think that like companies need to start looking for in 2026 for their marketing strategies. How do we get people to participate? How do we get people to meet other people? How do we
Mhm.
get them to make friends and not have it be like weird, Like we
Yeah.
talked about last year, the K-pop Demon Hunters sing-along like theatrical experiences,
Yeah. But it
Um
has to feel special. Like, and
yeah.
I think that also goes against the AI is we have
Yeah.
so much content. It really comes down to, does this feel special? Is
Mhm.
this going to feel unique? Like Avatar in the theater versus Avatar at home, same movie, very different experience.
Oh yeah.
And so if you are a Timothy Chalamet fan or you're an A24 fan or you just like ping pong, I don't know. But If that means a lot to you, then that becomes an event. You wanna be a
Right.
part of that spectacle.
Mm,
Audiences are showing that they're gonna do that,
mhm.
but there has to be a reason, like, there
Yeah.
has to be a tangible experience because otherwise you're gonna wait. Like,
Mhm,
otherwise you're gonna wait to stream. So, like, Dune, I'm gonna be in the theater. That is something that deserves to be on the big screen.
mhm.
There are certain movies that, like, you need to see it in IMAX or you need
Yeah.
to see it on, like, the biggest screen you can get to if you're not near IMAX, but it
Mhm,
needs like, the largeness of it all is a part of the experience.
mhm,
And so, like, when Frankenstein came out,
mhm,
I knew I wasn't gonna have a lot of time, and I was like, "I don't care who's coming with me, I'm going. I'll go by
mhm.
myself, I don't care,
Yeah,
but, like, if Guillermo calls, I show up.
yeah.
Just tell me where I need to be." And it was beautiful, and I'm so glad I saw it at the theater, but it's those things, like, you
And
just
hooray,
y
Jacob Elordi for just winning
yeah, he
the
deserved it, he really deserved it. I was so
and
happy he
Timothy.
got it. Yep. I was so
Um,
glad he got it because his creature portrayal is so
mhm,
well done, very nuanced, like,
mhm.
really beautifully done. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. So this, shout out to me because I just wrote this piece, but I wrote about what tech companies can be stealing from like movie promotional tours, which is that it's a months long campaign. It's no
Yeah.
longer you just do a launch day and then boom, you're out. No, now it's like you got to be doing, you got to be dropping breadcrumbs of like things
Yeah.
that people follow, like, those Easter eggs that they can like be involved with and like
Mhm.
look for those clues and then look for the next one, right? Like
Yeah.
I gave the example of like how movies kind of come out.
Mhm.
They do like a teaser of like the trailer that's coming out. Then they do the trailer and then they start dropping the celebrities to like go to like doing these interviews.
Yeah.
And then you have them like they'll do the movie premiere. The movie premieres are like in major cities, right? It's not just one city. They go to like
Yeah.
New York, they go to London, they go to LA. The actresses all dressed up in method dressing, right?
Yeah.
Like what Zendaya and like La Roche kind of like popularized. These are all things that are expected of them, and tech companies need to step that up. They need to like start doing more. Like it's not just, we put out a launch video and that's it. No,
Yeah.
it's not just like we have launch day and then we talk to the press, we go on TBPN for one day and then that's it. It's like, no,
Yeah.
like involve the founders, like get them to like, talk to other, podcasts and like press outlets, like get them to come out and like, be on Twitter and social media, like trying to like talk to people. Like, how are you engaging with your community? How are you getting
Mhm.
people to come out? It's no longer just going to be we put this out and we expect you to come. No, you got to work harder.
Yeah.
Like especially there's so much coming out. There's so much noise. You're competing against the news and politics. Now you know, you got to do something more. So
I'm
I've
sure.
written that on Substack. I will link to it in the show notes. But definitely give it a read. Let us know what you think.